Hey, this is Notser, and this is the user replay of the week. AdmiralAlex is in the Tier 8 Japanese battleship Amagi. Now, before we get started, please submit your replay to notserreplay@gmail.com. That's 2 R's right next to each other. Please have in-score screen screenshots. Say that 5 times fast. Please also have the replay file, obviously. And please have a 1 to 2 sentence summary of what's going on in the replay. I really appreciate everyone who submits their replays. If you weren't selected this week, maybe you will be next week. This is an amazing game and I would love to share it with you, so strap in. It's about to get exciting. Now, AdmiralAlex is engaging a North Carolina at long range, 15 kilometers. That North Carolina has a single fire, and it doesn't appear that he's using damage control. So he's somewhat aware of the normal procedure where you allow one fire to burn and you put it out if it's 2 or more, or for instance, if you happen to be flooding also. Yeah, he takes a torpedo on the nose, immediately puts out the fire, so we know a flood was caused with that torpedo too, and he's going to be immune. But will he remain immune for when Alex's rounds make contact? Alex fires with HE, switches to AP because he sees the target broadside, and he's able to have pretty good success. 4K and a fire that is going to stick for at least 45 seconds. There is no damage control to put it out, but that is a safe area that the North Carolina is headed into, so he's not going to sustain any more damage for now. There is a enemy warspite who's headed in this area, so AdmiralAlex is going to fire on him. He still has AP loaded. Obviously, the warspite wasn't showing a side. He is showing much more, but I think AdmiralAlex believed he would continue forward. The warspite is one of those battleships, just like most of the US battleships early on, where you need to compensate for just how slow they are. They just move at a snail's pace. You can't have the same lead that you would normally have on a cruiser or a faster battleship like the Amagi. If you're firing on an Amagi or a Congo, these are very fast battleships. In historical sense, they are battle cruisers. For this game, they're classified as battleships. Maybe we'll get a battle cruiser line. I don't know. But for now, it's a battleship. And he fires on a broadside target. 12,000 points of damage. No citadel, but 12,000 points of damage is mighty fine against the warspite. It looks like the warspite might take some torpedoes and die, but this warspite has a few tricks up his sleeve, and he's able to avoid all of them. That last torpedo looked like it actually clipped under the ship. Now, it might have. I can't believe he was able to avoid those torpedoes. He runs aground, though. In doing so, he doesn't take that much damage from the broadside of AdmiralAlex. And there's an enemy farragut. I would immediately switch to this destroyer. He would be my number 1 focus. The friendly Fubuki is eliminated by the farragut. Not surprised. The US destroyer is the clear victor in a close gun range duel. And Alex fires, he pops his smoke, but it's too late for you, farragut. See you later. And he had AP loaded. He only needed a couple rounds to make contact. That's exactly what happened. And now there's one less destroyer in the world. But his team is not doing that well. It looks like the western side overextended and a bunch of ships were killed. Now look at this guy. I hope Alex punishes him. He's a stationary Cleveland showing his side. He should kill this guy. But he doesn't. He only gets 9K. Oh, man. It's not every day that you see a target stationary. You need to be able to finish the deal. Dispersion was not on his side, though. But 9K is okay. But when a target is stationary, they should basically die with the next salvo. Hopefully he can finish that enemy Cleveland up, and perhaps the Cleveland will realize that remaining stationary is a bad tactic. Now, AdmiralAlex fires on the Mogami, and he gets a Citadel. 25,000 points of damage between the Citadel and 4 other rounds making contact. That Mogami has no interest in staying. I'm sure of that. Admiral already knows his next target. The Cleveland, great choice. Anytime you can predict a player's movement, you should exploit that. The Cleveland is aware of this, though. Admiral is spotted, and he's trying to find a use for his gun cooldown. The Cleveland is actually firing over the island because the arc of the shells is so extreme. They're going up immediately in order to reach AdmiralAlex, and that Cleveland is just not coming out from hiding. Alex chooses to fire on another Cleveland. This is the Cleveland that he fired on previously, I believe. And he's able to land 3 shells for 5,400 points of damage. It could have been better. It could have been a lot worse. It's about average. It's a good shot, but it's not the ideal Cleveland. The Cleveland he wants, yeah, he keeps wanting that one. He wants a Cleveland that's showing his side. He's set on fire, and he immediately puts it out. Maybe he expects to not be in range to take another fire. That is a risk you're taking. But there is a huge reward. It allows you to stay healthier for the latter part of the game. And again, he lands 2 shells. He incapacitates what looks like a gun. And he's able to do nearly the same amount of damage. 5k. As far as his team is concerned, there is absolutely nobody on the western flank. He only has 2 friendly cruisers and a battleship. They are on the eastern flank. The aircraft carriers obviously are not going to be in combat. They're trying to hide as best as they can. And it looks like that Mogami is going to find his end. The Cleveland sustains a little bit more damage. Most of the shells actually hit the water, though. That's unfortunate. And yeah, the Mogami is taken out. Now, I don't know what that cruiser is doing, but it looks like he's bailed on the friendly that's headed south, trying to look for a killing shot on one of these cruisers. And I would definitely kill this guy. This guy is stationary, stuck on something. Alex fires the back guns because they were in position. Wow, he got really bad luck there. One of the shells actually ricocheted off of the superstructure, it looked like. And the other 2 did almost no damage. And this Cleveland keeps bumping into stuff. Misses again. Ah, it's frustrating. This guy should be dead. He's put himself in such a precarious situation, but nobody is punishing him. And it looks like AdmiralAlex is actually like, fine, I'll go after this Myoko or this Cleveland. I don't care about that Cleveland that I was working on. Until he actually does. He scopes it out, he leads the target, and he fires. Indecision. Maybe he felt like he was just tired of missing. And he only got 1 shell to go anywhere near the target, and it was enough to penetrate the Citadel and kill the Cleveland. Wow. Everything else slammed into the water. Now, there are 2 enemies trying to capture the base, or at least deny the tick rate to his team. One is a Cleveland, one is a Myoko. The cruiser that actually, well, now both of the cruisers are dead. The one by the enemy base and the one who came back trying to look for a flanking fire have both died. It's just 2 battleships and 2 aircraft carriers against 6 enemy ships. And wow, he does 10,000 points of damage, completely destroys one of his guns, earns Confederate, and he should be able to follow it up and kill the target. They're pretty close. This should be a pretty much guaranteed kill on the Cleveland. But what are you doing, Alex? Why are you targeting the Myoko? The Myoko has way more health. And yeah, he chooses to fire on the Myoko. The Myoko has okay angling. He does 10,000 points of damage, no Citadel penetration. But both targets are still left up. This is a very interesting choice by him. I would try and finish off the Cleveland. If the Cleveland was such a harsh angle, or it was a target that had such huge armor values, then I might consider ignoring it. But I would never choose a higher health target if I had the ability to one-shot the other target. He continues on the Miyoko for whatever reason, and he's able to destroy the Miyoko. 17,000 points of damage. Good shot. That Cleveland is still up. Cleveland's firing on his position. For some reason, the Cleveland is firing AP. I don't understand that. You would want to try and make the battleship use his damage control to set him up. You have aircraft carriers on your team. And yeah, you're just not doing the kind of damage you want. He shows all of his side. This should be an easy kill. And yeah, what kind of luck is that? Barely alive. 11,000 points of damage. He does earn high caliber. But again, he has to wait on his gun cooldown. He has to work to kill this guy. He might actually lose this kill because he has aircraft carriers with dive bombers in the area. And there is a friendly battleship actually at the enemy base. You see the North Carolina in the back? That's the North Carolina he engaged at the beginning of the match. He's healed up a bunch, and this is way overkill. We know he's dead. I make this same mistake all the time too. In that moment, it might be better to chain fire until he's dead. That way you can get some more damage on the North Carolina, and there's not quite as much wasted damage, but it's not really a huge deal. He's going to have his cooldown back up. He's going to be able to engage the North Carolina. He didn't sustain a lot of damage in that 20 or 30 seconds. So, you know, I do the same things, but a better commander would be more efficient with the damage capabilities. The North Carolina is on the point, and he does get defender bonus, which is nice, but he has a very harsh angle. This is a perfect example of a target that's going to be very hard to penetrate. He's right in that range where he's a little bit too close for the plunging fire to really be effective. And Admiral appears to have recognized this. He's going to HE. Now, we all know what's going to happen, right? The second you switch to HE, he's going to show a full broadside and you're just going to be kicking yourself. But if we're going to play the game the correct way, the read is the opponent is not showing a lot of side. HE is the ammo type. The enemy fires on Alex, who might be showing a little bit too much, but it's not too bad. He sets 2 fires. Awesome. We know he's going to use damage control. We know he will just automatically do it. We've already made that read against this player. And of course he does. So now he could theoretically still have HE loaded and light him on fire. But he switches to AP, which is very interesting to me. We've already seen that this player maintains a very harsh angle. So maybe running with HE would be a better ammo type at this point, until he's committed to showing more than this. And we could definitely exploit the fact that damage control is on cooldown. Yeah, see, this is just ineffective. This is one moment where I'm sure AdmiralAlex regrets the ammo type decision. But this is going to get really crazy in a second. Look at these two. They're going right in on each other, and he's going to take... it's not a big deal. He has a pretty harsh angle. Terrible dispersion. Wow. The one shell that actually made contact with the ship just ricocheted off his armor. But we're getting into a broadside scenario. Both ships will be showing their side, and who can track better? Now Alex looks to be going after the guns. He does completely destroy only one, though. I'm sure he wanted both. He does have the option to fire at the waterline right here, but it doesn't look like he wants to do that. He wants to go after the guns. He can't track the front, so he fires at the rear. He sustains a huge shot from the enemy North Carolina, something like 16,000 points of damage. And I don't think he should have sustained that. Quite honestly, I think he could have killed him. He also somehow avoids torpedoes. I'm not 100% if that was his plan, but it worked out. He finally fires it into the waterline and destroys him. Something I think he could have just done. If the North Carolina could fire, then I think the Amagi could fire too. So yeah, that's probably the only thing I would say. Don't be too cute trying to destroy guns when you can one-shot them and they're showing their broadside. They're at their most vulnerable. This Fuso has pretty good angling, but the Amagi is much higher. He sustains a little bit of damage, not that much. he's got pretty good angling against the Fuso. He does very good damage against the enemy Fuso, though. He just needs to reload his guns, and he should be able to finish this guy off. Again, waterline shot, you only need your front guns. Maximum angle. He fires one set, does 4K. Not bad. Just trying to get the next set ready to go. Aimed at that waterline, trying to get it in. Oh, another 4K. Huge shot from the Fuso. He's down to 5,000. His secondary set him on fire, and he finishes the Fuso off. Again, he shoves it in at the waterline, and he gets a Citadel penetration. So now there's only 2 enemy aircraft carriers. And don't get me wrong, AdmiralAlex did a fantastic job. His heart was racing, my heart was racing, but he kind of left it up to chance. Right? What if he doesn't completely overpin and destroy those turrets? He's going to sustain at least 20,000 instead of 15. That's 5,000 that he didn't have in the bank. The Fuso would have killed him with that shot. There's so many things that could have gone wrong there, and I just don't like trying to deny the target's ability to fight me when they're within a one-shot. I would rather hold my fire and just fire at the waterline when it was available, if that was the issue. If he couldn't get the guns down just enough to go after the waterline. Now, this Independence is nothing. He's going to kill this guy. It's easy. It's easy. He's a very fast battleship, and this Independence is not equipped to fight a battleship. Now, I don't know what his teammate is doing. I don't know what he's been doing the whole time. The 2 battleships were in the north. This guy was too preoccupied with searching for the aircraft carrier, quite honestly. He should have stayed on the point. He should have put pressure on the enemy. He should have protected his team in a scenario where they might lose the game. But he's too busy looking for the aircraft carrier. I don't like that at all. That's too risky. And the reward just isn't there. Who cares about an aircraft carrier, quite honestly? It's like it's the end of the game. Their aircraft carriers are up. It doesn't look like they have been having a lot of success, in my opinion. I felt like the best course of action was supporting your teammate or capping the base. Since you're a battleship, you can get in range to easily impact it. I would not go hunting for aircraft carriers. That's my honest opinion. It's kind of like hunting for destroyers. You're never going to find them if they're given a chance to run away. And by the time you do, the game's over. AdmiralAlex has sustained a lot of damage, and interestingly, he's actually closer to the enemy aircraft carrier than that battleship, who has spent, I don't know how long, a ridiculous amount of time looking for him. Thanks to AdmiralAlex, their team is actually going to win this game, and everyone who wasn't very helpful for the team is going to get a double XP on a ship where they basically did nothing. It's just one of those games where 2 or 3 people carry the rest of the team, and the whole team suffers XP-wise. It's like the ultimate shame is to get your daily double and have like 200 XP earned in the match. So, 7 kills. Let's say that again. 7 kills for AdmiralAlex. Dreadnought, Confederate High Caliber, Kraken Unleashed, 6 Citadels. He landed 113 rounds. That's pretty impressive. He defended the base 7 times. Who cares, right? He was going to get that either way. He had to eliminate the enemy, and that's really all that mattered at that point. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the base XP for the game, but the total damage was around 225,000 points of damage. Just awesome. Thank you, AdmiralAlex, for sharing your game. It was a pleasure to see it. I just can't believe you were able to get 7 kills and do that much damage. I thought for sure that the enemy was going to overwhelm your team, but they had to deal with an admiral and his Amagi. And thanks again, Alex. Really appreciate it. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.